Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, I am so excited to introduce you to Lynn Whitbeck. She is known as the Queen of Sales, and we are going to be talking about referrals and sales today. So it's going to be an excellent conversation, and I had the honor of being on Lynn's podcast recently. So really excited to introduce you to her and let you learn a little bit about her magic and secret sauce to help you get more referrals and get more sales in your business. So let me tell you a little bit about her, and then we're going to get into all the good stuff. She is the founder and CEO of Petite to Queen. And as I shared, she's known as the Queen of Sales. As a result, business owners and entrepreneurs, they really go to her to ignite their winning sales teams. Because as you know, most entrepreneurs and business owners find themselves chasing down clients, getting stuck in chaotic sales cycles, and lacking client retention or conversions, or that little tiny thing called profitability. So she helps them ignite their sales and unleash their lasting profits, which is what we all want. She is the host of Get More Clients on the Win-Win Women Network, and her podcast is Claim Your Career Crown, which is where you can find that interview with me. So, Lynn, welcome. I'm so excited that you are here today.
Well, Krista, it's such an honor and privilege to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Absolutely. All right. So, we're going to talk about referral. We're going to talk about sales. What I think I want to start with is, what are some of your kind of top strategies? What are the things that you're seeing that are working really well right now when people are looking at increasing their sales and leveraging referrals to do so?
Well, referrals are an incredible way to increase your sales. First of all, people come to you with a built-in like, know, and trust factor because they've been referred by a trusted resource. All right. So right there, you sort of shorten up that immediate jump from awareness to cultivation. And referred sales are referred people who come to you through referrals. I'm stumbling over all my words. They are 4 times more likely to proceed to do business with you, and the sale proceeds much faster, so they're going to say yes and get started with you much faster. So those are some of the most important things. The other one is that people who are referred to you, they are, once again, that magic 4 times more likely to refer additional people to you. So building a strong referral process in your sales is really important. And the key about that is you need to ask early and you need to mention it often. So, in other words, when I say ask early, it's really about seeding and planting the idea of referrals from that first time that you meet someone. Like, Krista, it's so wonderful that we've connected on such a level of the rapport that we've built because, most of my clients are introduced to me as referrals. And I just love how we have made this connection just zoom from the very beginning. Now, of course, that wasn't rehearsed or practiced. I just sort of threw it out there. But when you rehearse and practice it, whatever feels right to you, whatever works best for you, it's a great way when you first meet someone and you are building that rapport to plant the seed that most of your clients come from referrals. And when you do that, when it comes time, they are a client, you're doing fantastic work together, you've earned the right, then you can ask for the referral and they're expecting it. And so, all the way through the sales process, you're going to reinforce that idea that most of your business comes from referrals. And as you do that, they are used to that idea and they're planning and expecting for you to ask for a referral, because why wouldn't they want to refer you so that someone else that they know can have the same experience and receive the same value and incredible service, product or service that you offer? So that's one of the key things, is to build it into your sales strategy, to practice it, make it into part of your own DNA. And then once you have, it's very important, earned the right, you ask for the referral. Don't ask for a referral too soon. I mean, Krista, I don't know about you, but have you ever been on a networking call and a whole bunch of people are there? You've never met them. And they go around the room like, what do you need? And they ask for referrals. I need referrals for my business. And I'm thinking, I don't know you. I don't know anything about you. Why would I give you a referral? Okay, you haven't answered my why yet. We don't have a relationship. I don't know the value of your services. I don't know the types of relationships that you have with your clients. It's just not the right time. They have not earned the right to ask for the referral. And when you have earned the right because you're delivering a great product or service, then people are expecting it. Right? I mean, and when you ask for that favor, they're more than happy to oblige. And if they don't know anyone that moment, they will. And by asking them, they'll be thinking about it. And then when wouldn't you know it, 2 weeks later, they stumble upon someone who's saying, man, I really need help with our sales strategy. It's just a morass of chaos. What are we going to do? I know someone who can help you. That's how those things work. And of course, once someone has provided the referral, you want to thank them and provide value for that referral. Now, that doesn't mean you go send them some big fancy gift. It means that you genuinely thank them and express your appreciation. And if you can deliver some part of value that makes sense to them, that is important. There's a simple thing, because sometimes when I receive referrals from clients and past clients, I will ask them, what if I can send them, a box of wine, and what types of wine do they like? Because that's one of the things that I'll do. And I have this sort of selection of fine wines that I'll put in a box and ship to them. And they may say, no, 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 I don't, we're not drinkers and we won't, it just, don't do that. And it's like, okay, well, I would like to do the same amount, but as a donation to one of these three charities. Which one would you prefer? Which one is your favorite? And then they can then choose that, and then you can make the donation in their name and make sure that they get a copy or a CC on that, so that they know that that donation was in fact made on their behalf. And that's another great way, because then they feel like even better, like, wow, okay, cool.
Yeah, no, I love that. And some people are motivated by a financial reason to make referrals. Some people are motivated by being natural connectors and they love to be able to refer, I find. And then other people, whether they did it for the thank you or not, I feel like everybody appreciates the gesture of the thank you. So I really love the donation aspect for the person who's not a thing person. Like, please don't send me anything. I don't need anything else. But what a nice gesture and what a nice way for them to then feel even better about the referral that they made.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I'm curious. There's something that I've seen and heard in the past, and I'm curious what your experience is with this, where people don't ask for the referral because they feel like, well, my work should speak for itself, and if they had a great experience working with me, then they should just refer me. I shouldn't have to ask. And I've heard this from so many people before, and I'm thinking you're leaving money on the table. But that being said, have you experienced that as well, and why do you think that is, or what should somebody do if that's how they feel?
This is incredibly common. Okay, first of all, it's incredibly common. It's actually surprising how many people don't ask for referrals. And I'll share a little secret with you. In my corporate sales career, I didn't ask for referrals. just didn't cross my mind. It wasn't that I didn't feel comfortable. I just didn't think about it. I was busy. I was, and customers did come to me, but regardless, it can be for any kind of different reason. And the first thing I'm going to say about that comment is, well, when was the last time you knew that your client could read your mind? So, come on. If you don't ask, you don't get. I really look back and think about, like, well, gosh, how much more business could I have had if I'd been asking for referrals? So it's a really simple rule. If you don't ask, you don't get. And of course, there's ways that you can ask that are gracious, that are inviting, that you're not putting people on the spot, you're not making them uncomfortable. And that goes with blending it with your own style and theirs, and becoming practiced and natural at asking for the referral. And if you don't think you need to ask for it, they should just go ahead and be providing them. You are leaving so much money on the table. Like I said, I just sort of shake my head when I think about the past, but don't do that anymore.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad we got to talk about that because I'm always thinking about where is there hidden time in a business and where is there hidden profit in a business. And when people say that to me, I'm like, oh, but if you really do such great work for people, what about the people who just aren't thinking about it? But if you mentioned it, would be so happy to tell other people about you.
Exactly. Yes.
Speaking of hidden profit, because I know obviously one of the things that you do is help people increase their profits. What are some of the other ways that you see where businesses leave profit on the table?
Well, there's a number of different areas, and this is like opening Pandora's box. Obviously, not asking for the referral, not looking for other ways that you can create account penetration, doing quarterly business reviews so that you can basically ask your client what's going on in their world, what's new, so that you have the opportunity to get on the ground floor by creating a proof of concept, a pilot program, a statement of work, and that then you own that moving forward. That as just a classic example of how you can expand your business. And the same thing, asking for referrals into the other departments, especially if you're working B2B, that can be very siloed. And in addition to that, I want people to really think about their entire client journey. So, a big piece of what happens is you have client churn. You have people who aren't happy. And you definitely, when people are very unhappy, whoa, the damage, potential damage to your reputation is significant. So you need to be on top of the client journey and being very aware of where there's gaps, areas of friction, where you're doing really well, so you can replicate those parts, but creating that seamless way for a client first to create that spark, for you to cultivate the relationship, for you then to guide them to a decision, and then for you to execute, implement whatever your product or service is, and then continue to nurture that client. So, really examining your client journey. And this involves, the whole company, and not every single person, depending on the size of the organization, but certainly leadership and people who are boots on the ground. The people who are actually working in your shipping department and putting things in boxes have insights that you don't have. That's why you always have the undercover boss, right? It's that you will learn things from what's going on with the boots on the ground that you can use to not only streamline your operation and make it more effective and efficient, but provide a better client experience.
Yeah, that's such a great point. And I remember as you were talking, I was thinking of an example where we changed printers for my lean out planner. And in doing so, what we didn't realize was that the shipping packaging that we had used with the original printer, which worked great, was not sturdy enough to protect the planners with the new printer because they had a different cover on it. And so my team has all been trained in what do you do if something arrives damaged? What do you do if something and so they were taking care of the customer issues. They were taking care of everything from a customer service perspective. But until we talked about it, I didn't realize there was an issue, which was a super simple, quick fix we need to switch to a box instead of a mailer. Super simple fix, but they were just doing what they were doing. They were handling customer service, but there wasn't that deep dive into recognizing that they should escalate that as a common theme so that we could address it. And so
Right.
sometimes it really is just so helpful to have those conversations and do what you shared.
No, you should always complacency is just an evil thing. And what you need to do is when you're seeing a repeatable pattern, definitely bring that to attention so that it can be addressed. And you're right. So many times of not really looking into the root cause of what's happening, and it happens a second and a third time, that should be a massive red flag that goes up because it is creating a bad client experience. And then you get a group of clients together who happen to talk and they're all saying, oh, yeah, the whole thing arrived mangled.
Mhm.
It's just not good.
Right. And it could have been three people, but three people talking online feels like 3,000 and it can have a really big impact.
It
So,
absolutely can. Yeah, no, it can take you a lifetime to build your brand and your reputation and 5 minutes to destroy it.
sad but true.
Yeah.
So, we've talked about referrals as a way to increase sales, of course. We've talked about some of the ways that people leave profit on the table, of which I'm sure we could probably just talk about that for like 3 days on end. But that being said, what are some of the other things that you've seen work really well to either get clients or to increase your sales?
Follow up. That's the
Mhm.
number one deadly sin of sales is failure to follow up. And here's the thing, guys. Most people are not ready to make a decision on the spot. They're not going to work with one call closers. It's just not effective. And also that is just a recipe for disaster for client churn down the road because they feel manipulated, and they don't like it. So if we're going through with a relationship human to human sale, then the number one thing is following up, and then following up with value. And what I mean by that is don't do the, oh, hi Krista, this is Lynn, I was calling to follow up and see if you're ready to move forward with the program. And I'd love to be able to talk to you. And well, let's see, what does your week look like next week? You
Yeah.
hear me choking. If you're if you're watching me, you're seeing me make all these facial contortions. But the whole point is let's just gag me with a fork. It's just terrible. It's horrible. So what we want to do is instead lead with value. It's like, oh my gosh, I was just on the most incredible podcast and the incredible nuggets that were shared on referrals. This is something that you need to tune into. It'll take you 30 minutes to listen to it while you're on the road. And I know you're going to love it. Oh, this is Lynn Whitbeck with Petite to Queen. I'm going to drop all of this in an email so it's right at your fingertips. So now I just led with value. I told them why it was important to them. I did that on the fly, by the way, again. And then, of course, when you do that, you do what I call a triumphant triangle. So you lead with the value, you leave it, you pick up the phone and you call them. You expect you'll probably get voicemail. Every so often, you actually get a human being to answer the phone. You already have the email ready to go. You want to have energy, a smile on your face. People can hear it in your voice. And you leave the voicemail. You slow your cadence when it comes to your name. You repeat your name and your digits. And then you hit send for the email. That's step two, right? Your three corners of a triangle. And the third is 3 days later, that magic three. Then you're going to reach out again, follow up either with a text message, a LinkedIn message, Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, send up smoke signals, whatever it happens to be, but you can use a different format. Now, on most of those, you can still leave that as a voice message, which gets a lot more traction. People see that they have a voice message and they'll listen to it. And or you can leave a video message with the same information. So you've just repeated it. But that way, if they haven't had time to check their email or they just sort of skimmed and they moved on, you're capturing them a third time. Then that's a follow up. That's sort of a closed loop. So that sets that aside. And then, depending on your cadence of your business, because every business is different. In fact, some people in a cadence will do that triangle in a 24-hour period. It really depends on what you do. But then you move into the next follow up. which is, could be 5 days, business days later, could be 7, could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 hours. Who knows? 2 hours is really fast, by the way. People are going to feel hunted. So be aware of that so that you manage your cadence based on your industry and market and what's normal.
Yeah, that's such great advice. And I find people do skip the follow-up completely, but they also will do the follow-up once, and if the person doesn't immediately reply or take the action that they asked them to in the follow-up, they'll never follow up again because they're like, "Oh, well, I followed up, they weren't interested, so clearly they're not gonna wanna work together." And they completely just never go back to that person again. Do you
Yeah.
see that also?
No, I'm shaking my head here because this is the stats are live. I mean, it's like 48% of salespeople never follow up even once. And then
Oof.
another 42% give up after the first attempt. When you think about it, you start to do the math, and then by the time you've reached a fourth follow-up, 92% give up, you know,
Mm.
and yet most B2B sales, especially, occur well after the fifth attempt. And some sales take much longer. And I want to remind everybody it's not because they're not interested, they're busy. Okay. They're busy. They've got busy things going on in their life at work, juggling things. They may have a crisis that's come up. You may not be a front burner issue, right? So the thing is, timing is everything. And if you want to be on the front burner and you want to garner their attention, you're going to continue to deliver value through your cadence and have a planned cadence and what type of assets you can pull to deliver in different methods. So it's not always going to be the triumphant triangle with a phone call. Sometimes you're going to snail mail them a package. My gosh, if it's a business, they may still have a fax machine. Send them a fax. I swear they're going to be running through the building waving it. Oh my gosh, I got a fax. Look at this. I got a fax. You're going to get their attention because nobody gets faxes anymore. So the whole point, there's a lot of different ways that you can connect with them as you go through your cadence. So you want to mix it up.
Yeah, that's so smart. And now you had mentioned something there about having salespeople. And so I know some of the work that you do is helping people build out those sales teams. So I'd love to dig into a little bit for a smaller business. When is the right time to be thinking about building out a sales team and what do you want to be looking for?
Well, the timing is always dependent upon your own economics, but there does come a tipping point where, how many 7 days a week, 12-hour days can you work? Uh, yes. So, let's be real here that you need to bring on a sales staff. Now, there are fractional sales people that you can bring on a temporary basis. And sometimes that can work well. Other times it's just a disaster. So, one of the key things is making sure your values align, that they have a passion for what you do, and that they genuinely are interested. They listen more than they talk. They spend that 80% of the time doing discovery and finding out about what you do, what makes your organization tick, how you deliver value and impact. And that is a salesperson who's then going to be doing the same thing for the clients. So they're going to be listening more than they talk because they're not trying to sell you. They're trying to understand what you want, need, or lack. What problem are you trying to solve? What area of concern you have that needs to be addressed? Why it matters. So they can. So they can what? People purchase the so they can. And when you listen, your clients will tell you everything you want to know. You just have to stop talking.
Yeah, so good. So good. And I feel like you can tell so much about how a person is going to treat that potential lead or, that potential client when they're on a sales call based on how they interact with you in the interview process. And they're probably on their very best behavior in the interview process. So if you have red flags, run, run
Yes.
the other way.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can try doing some different things of role play. Obviously, you're going to do due diligence of checking out references. And there is a whole, I actually don't get into helping people hire salespeople. So it's not an area of expertise that I have. But I can guarantee you, because I've worked with the good, the bad, and the ugly. And normally, I would say that if you have a gut intuition that this is not a good fit, that's a good gut feel. Go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love for you to tell everyone a little bit more about you and what you do and how you work with your clients.
Well, I we have private client consulting that we do. So we go in and we can do a whole litany of things to help our clients, from doing a website refresh. Everything is built around the client why, helping them build out their products, developing a corporate program, to working on their core sales strategy. How are they going to get from point A to point B to execute for their customers? So we do all of those things. We also provide a membership programs where you can go in and you're basically working group programs, so that you can collectively, it's really can be powerful to learn what someone else's issue is. And then, if they're on the focus seat, and how it's, we talk through that they can address. But essentially working through on workshops, live, real person, you're not thrown into Kajabi. Live in person, real workshops with projects to do afterwards, literally like assignments. Okay, it's homework, so that you can grow and move your business forward. So you can figure out what's needed for your business and push it forward. So we offer both those types of programs. We also, from time to time, have intensive boot camps to basically build out your sales strategy from the beginning, client thinking, to nurturing and having quarterly business reviews and getting those raving fans and reviews.
I love it. Now, where can people find you on your website as well as your favorite social platform?
I am the only Lynn Whitbeck on LinkedIn, so that's pretty darn simple. And of course, you can reach out on our website at petite2queen.com.
Excellent. And that's the number two.
It is petite two queen, but I own every variation of URL, so
Brilliant,
it
as you
would it
should.
would redirect to me.
All right, so there's a question I ask every guest, and I cannot wait to hear what you have to share. And that is, in your business, how do you work smarter, not harder, and keep things lean?
We constantly look at our processes. So, you were just a guest on our podcast. We've actually, in the last week, we made a change on how we were doing that, because the back and forth of making sure I had the images, or my team members, or we had the bio, and it was like herding cats, except they were guests. So we actually put in place, and we've actually already built out the whole process and how we were following it. And last fall, we had also made some other adjustments. But this time, what we did is we put everything into a Google form. And so that people have to give us all the information we need, all the backlinks we need, so that we can share them, so that we can, use them for the client, giving them value, SEO value, helping people find them, because we put them in our posts, getting their headshot uploaded right there. So we have the headshots, getting their bio, everything essentially in one spot. And so by doing that, we would effectively, with so far, it is working really well, streamline our operation. So that's a big help.
Yeah, and you know that is what I am all about. So, music to my ears. I love it. All right, final question before we wrap up today. And that is, do you have any final tips for people if they want to boost their referrals or they just want to boost their sales in their business?
If you want to boost your referrals, you need to ask for the referral. You want to seed the referral in the process, so that when it comes time and you've earned the right, you ask. And then you reward the behavior that you want repeated, just like a child. Okay. So don't take that the wrong way. Um, and of course, to improve your sales, follow up, because timing is everything in work and in business, and people are busy. They're not ghosting you because they're not interested. All right. Almost always it's because they're busy.
I love it. Simple steps, simple tips, but highly, highly impactful, and things that I feel like each of you listening can probably do right now, right after this episode. You can ask for a referral and you could follow up with somebody who previously expressed interest in working with you. So brilliant. Thank you so much, Lynn, for being here and sharing all of your wisdom with us. Everyone, I hope you loved this interview as much as I did, and I'll see you again next week. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. I hope you got a lot of value and actionable insights from today's show, and would love if you take a moment to leave us a review. If you have any questions on today's episode or on how to lean out your business, join us over in our private Facebook community, where every week we do live training and Q&A, and I'd love to have you be part of the conversation. Head to leanoutmethod.com/group to join us. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the show so you're the first to know when we release a new episode. We'll see you next week.